Evil Pixel.
Initial D is a manga and anime that introduced the JDM car tuning and drift culture for many individuals both inside and outside of Japan. As for myself, it's one of the reasons why I bought an RX-7 and decided to build it myself. As legendary as it has become in Japan, the same can be said about it in other regions. The series immediately became a success, from which branched off into the video game industry, of course. Which brings us to today's video, where we'll be discussing the unreleased Initial D game for the Nintendo 3DS, titled Initial D EX. Initial D's first manga run began in mid-1995, and was later adapted into a very popular anime and even live-action movie. The story followed the 18-year-old high schooler named Takumi Fujiwara, working as a tofu delivery boy for his father's tofu restaurant. Now, a quick backstory into this is that Takumi's father, Bunta, allows Takumi to deliver and use his car, an AE86 Toyota Corolla Terreno, for delivery and pleasure purposes, only if he makes his delivery quickly without spilling water out of a paper cup. Utilizing this small exercise, Takumi quickly enhances his drifting skills, maneuvering his way through Mount Akina, without him even knowing. And that's part of what makes his story so interesting, is the fact that Takumi is very skilled and experienced. But he honestly isn't into cars or drifting, he just does it in order to borrow his dad's car. He soon gets tangled with some local street racers and quickly becomes a hometown hero as others try to challenge him. It's actually a very cool and interesting story, definitely a first of its kind. It used real life cars animated exactly how they look in real life, as well as real name brand car parts and manufacturers. Now, why is this important, you may ask? Well, because the story was adapted into the Initial D video games. Because of the growing popularity of the car culture in both Asian and North American culture. Initial D was ported to arcade. You may have actually come across them in your local arcades, if there are any of those still around. The arcades themselves were unique in their own right, as far as my experience goes. Now, upon inserting your coins, first-time racers would receive a racing card, where their experience and tuning parts would be recorded for later use in races. A memory card, if you will. This would allow you to go head-to-head with other players with your own personalized vehicle. Now, of course, as time went on and next-gen consoles and handheld devices became more advanced, Initial D EX for the Nintendo DS was discovered buried away, in an unfinished state, of course. You see, Initial D EX was never officially announced. In the mid-2000s, it was only a rumor that an Initial D game was being developed for the new Nintendo DS. Aside from that, nothing was really heard about the game again. The only thing that is known about this game is that it was being developed by Sega, as the game's only known images surfaced on Sega Rosso's website before being taken down back in 2008. So unfortunately, nothing was ever really shown off. We never even got a trailer for it. Though it was speculated that it would have played like all the other Initial D games. As it should, because honestly, there was nothing really wrong with the formula. Initial D EX would have been the 7th Initial D game to be released on console. Honestly, the only reason why people assume that it was to be released for the DS is the fact that DS is stamped on the corner of the screenshots that were leaked. Now, interestingly enough, Nintendo did release a free-to-play Initial D game for the 3DS back in 2014. Entitled Perfect Shift, and it wasn't bad at all. The only thing is that it wasn't really a drifting game, but more of a drag racing game. So honestly, I don't really count this as an Initial D game. The name seems to just be slapped on there for sales purposes. But all things aside, Initial D is still very popular, especially in Japan. And I hope that one day we do get a decent handheld port of the game, especially now that the Nintendo Switch has been such a dominant handheld console. Now, unfortunately, that is all we know of Initial D EX for the Nintendo DS. Thank you guys for watching. Check out some of our other videos if you'd like. And if you'd like to support us, check out our Patreon. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and give us any suggestions for any future videos. And I'll catch you all next time.